So Frank Sinatra once sang, "The best things in life are free." Or was it he's 17? Well, either way, they were talking complete bollocks. Because if you really want one of the best smartphones of 2024, like Google's Pixel 9 Pro XL, or they say Galaxy S24 Ultra, then you'll have to hand over whopping great fistfuls of money. The Pixel 9 Pro XL starts from 1099 GBPs. You'll have to spunk up even more if you want a bit more storage stuffed in there. Meanwhile, the Galaxy S24 Ultra starts from 1149 quid. It's just 50 pun more, or roughly the price of a pint in London. Of course, you can usually find all kinds of offers on these blowers, and they've got some pretty good trade-in deals as well. But which pricey oversized blower is best for you? Well, here's my full Pixel 9 Pro XL versus Galaxy S24 Ultra comparison. We'll check out the camera tech, the gaming chops, battery life, all that good stuff. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now first up, I hope you like it girthy, because both of these handsets are 6.8-inch behemoths. The Galaxy S24 Ultra may look bigger because it's got those squared off corners, but actually the dimensions are basically the same. They're both quite substantial smartphones, shall we say. So this weekend when I had them both squeezed into my shorts, my belt was in serious danger of exploding. You've got reasonably skinny bezels surrounding those mighty displays, slightly more slender here on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and they are completely flat panels now as well. Not even the slightest more subtle curvature at those edges. And they're both kind of tricky to wield one-handed. There's a lot to grapple with here, but the sharp corners on the Galaxy S24 Ultra certainly mean it loses a few points in the old hand feel department. You got these right angles just digging right into your palmy flesh, so it's just not very comfortable to clutch. Now if we flip these blowers around to the back end, you've got some soft touch matte glass on both of them. I have found that the Pixel 9 Pro XLs does tend to get a bit more smudgy and greasy over time compared with the Galaxy, which does seem to be highly resistant to fingerprints and greasy marks. But on the flip side, I prefer Google's camera bump, which stretches the full width of the arse end of the Pixel 9 Pro XL. It means that if you're using the phone when it's sat on a desk, you can poke and prod it as much as you want. It doesn't jitter about the place, unlike the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And it's also a very handy finger shelf if you are using the Pixel 9 Pro XL one-handed, which of course you don't get that benefit here on the S24 Ultra. Of course, while Google only offers up a selection of 4 different colors, Samsung is offering about 7 if you order the S24 Ultra via its website. As for what these massive blowers are made from, well, you've got a metal frame, bit of titanium in Samsung's case. The Pixel 9 Pro XL is clad in Gorilla Glass Victus 2, so it's pleasingly scratch and shatter resistant. Got a couple of tiny, very light scratches on there after a week and a half of very heavy handling. Literally been chucked in the same pocket as the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Yes, it was quite a baggy pocket. Same story for the S24 Ultra, a couple of light scratches, though I have had this a lot longer than the Pixel. And you've actually got an upgrade here to Gorilla Glass Armor, which is still tough as out, but thankfully on that screen it's a lot less reflective than the Victus. And the effects are pretty obvious if we do a quick side-by-side. As you can see there, that Pixel really reflecting the harsh studio lighting, whereas it's tempered right down on the S24 Ultra. Anyway, more on those screens in a bit, and both of these phones are IP68 water and dust resistant. So you get them proper moist, even submerge them in water, and as long as you give them a good toweling off, should be right as rain. So now let's have a shufty at the software, and because Google went and spaffed its load early this year, we've actually got old Android 14 running on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, exactly the same as on that Galaxy S24 Ultra. Anyway, tasty bit of Android 15 should be slapped on both of these smartphones imminently, certainly by the end of 2024. That should come slightly sooner on that Pixel, as it is a Google handset. And the great news is, no matter your choice here, you get 7 full years of Android updates and also security patching. Both the Pixel and the Galaxy boast an in-display ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. It's certainly a step above your typical optical fingerprint sensor because it actually maps a 3D image of your thumb. So not only highly responsive even when your hands are a bit wet, so you're not hanging about. Got a good bit of face unlock on both as backup. Similar set of features on both as well, including ultra-wideband support. Got one of those swanky posh cars that supports the old smartphone key shenanigans. And of course, you've got a lot of AI smart arteries stuffed onto both these smartphones, including that circle to search shenanigans. So It's really handy for performing quick Google image searches. You've also got lots of smart photo editing tools. You've got the ability to conjure up AI images from absolutely nout. Some of it is total guff, of course, but some of it's actually pretty helpful. You've got full Gemini support here on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And while the S24 Ultra doesn't come with Gemini pre-installed, you can just install it from the Play Store. The only real difference is that here on the Pixel you get a year of Gemini Advanced thrown in for free, but to be honest, just the standard Gemini is pretty bloody helpful, and I think most people will get on fine with that. Certainly a big step up from that Google Assistant and actually properly helpful. So go check out my Pixel 9 Pro XL review for more on all that shenanigans. Now personally, I prefer the stock Android vibes here on the Pixel compared with that One UI experience here on the S24 Ultra. One UI is quite a heavy launcher still, and I don't really like the way that Samsung doubles up on a lot of the features that's already stuffed inside of Android. Samsung's own browser, Samsung's own app store, Samsung's own health tracking, Samsung's own smart home shenanigans. And the Pixel also comes with better exclusive features, the likes of the call screening, which is great. You're constantly being bugged by unknown callers. Although there are some wee irritations, like you can't get rid of that Google search bar from your home screen. And likewise, you're constantly stuck with the old at a glance up top. You cannot eradicate that for your life. And there's also a couple of questionable additions like the temperature sensor, which I am yet to find an actual use for. And if you happen to edit a lot of documents on the fly, or you're just quite creative, well, the Galaxy S24 Ultra has a killer feature in the old S Pen stylus. I've found this particularly handy for scribbling a quick note or signing my name on an NDA. But you can also get all sketchy if that's your bag. I do really adore how this stylus is craftily stashed away in that bottom orifice ready for action. Oh, and also worth mentioning, you get up to 1 TB of storage with both the Pixel 9 Pro XL and that Galaxy S24 Ultra, depending on how much cash you hoy at Google or Samsung. But neither sadly expandable via microSD. Now, if you're a movie fan, you like to edit photos on the go, perhaps you're a gamer, well, you should adore the display on either of these smartphones because you've got a cracking bit of OLED tech on both. With the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it's a super actual OLED display with a 1344 by 2992 pixel resolution. In the case of Samsung's Galaxy S24 Ultra, it's a dynamic AMOLED display, 1440 by 3120. So slightly sharper visuals, although good luck actually telling the difference between this pair. You have to basically smush your face right up to them and squint really, really hard, and even then my knackered old peepers can't tell the difference. The colour reproduction on this pair is quite different, which is especially apparent when you're watching a movie. Certainly here on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, you've got more customization, more display features to play around with. So you can just subtly tweak the output. Whereas on the Pixel, you're basically stuck with what you see. But I love the output on the Pixel. It's nice and neutral, tones aren't too warm or too cool. You've got strong HDR smarts on both as well, good bit of HDR10 streaming support. And only a slight bit of selfie cam intrusion on both as well. It's slightly bigger on the Pixel, but again, minimal difference here. And no matter your choice, you've got LTPO tech as well, so that refresh rate scales all the way up to 120 Hz for silky smooth visuals with supported apps and when you're generally nipping about the UI. And it can also scale all the way down to just 1 Hz for the always on display, makes it nice and energy efficient. And both of these screens pretty eye-searing when they hit that maximum brightness. So visibility is quite clear outdoors. Although as mentioned before, the S24 Ultra does have that anti-reflective display, which certainly helps out. And with both these phones, you get a beefy stereo speaker output as well. So let's just max it out and test them side by side. Start with the Pixel. Bert here, hope you're having a ruddy, lovely week. And welcome to yet another bowel-cleansingly thrilling episode of TechSpert Weekly. Yeah, another god-awful online spreader of disinformation. And now the S24 Ultra. Well, no, not disinformation per se. I don't spout complete and utter bollocks on purpose with intent to deceive. I'm just too lazy to actually research stuff and usually more than a little bit pissed. So both pretty ruddy loud, certainly if you're in a kitchen or somewhere else that's quite noisy, just trying to enjoy a bit of Netflix or your favourite bald YouTube twat. You won't need to worry about resorting to headphones or anything, you'll still be able to hear what's going on. And so the S24 Ultra is slightly louder than the Pixel, but the clarity's pretty good on both. Reasonably full-bodied audio as well for basically tiny little smartphone speakers. And the old Bluetooth streaming been absolutely well behaved on both of these phones. But yes, no headphone jack as you would expect, pretty much extinct on flagships these days. And it's quite a different story when it comes to the brains of the operation as well. You've got the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 running the show here on the S24 Ultra, whereas on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it's actually a Google-Samsung collaboration, the Tensor G4. You got 12 gigs of lovely RAM crammed inside of the S24, whereas it's 16 gigs on the Pixel. And as you'd imagine, the everyday experience is smooth as silk on both of these, as you'd expect from a bloody flagship that costs you well over $1,000. Of course, when it comes to gaming, there is a bit of a difference between the pair. I smashed my way through a good bit of Wuthering Waves on the two of them, one of the most demanding titles out there. Those lush graphics and the lack of general optimization, pretty punishing on any handset out there. And I felt that the Galaxy S24 Ultra handled it better than the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Even on the highest possible settings running at 60 frames per second, I rarely saw any kind of dip in that frame rate. Whereas on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, I did see a few wee judders here and there. So certainly if you're going for sheer beef, then the S24 Ultra is the way forward, but the Pixel 9 Pro XL can still handle anything you need to throw at it. And both phones have a vapor chamber stuffed inside as well to help keep that heat dissipating nicely. Cracking word that. Of course, both the Pixel and the Galaxy are proper hand warmers when you have been playing Wuthering Waves for a wee while. Should be particularly useful in winter time. But thankfully, unlike previous generations, I haven't had the Pixel 9 Pro XL threaten to shut down on me, even if I've been using it outdoors on a very hot sunny day. So that's a massive relief. And both of the gaming modes are pretty basic compared with what you get with some rivals, but you've got the priority mode here on the S24 Ultra for just ensuring you're not disturbed. You can also record the action if you want. Here on the Pixel you can stream to YouTube. You've again got like do not disturb and everything, but that's about it. Pretty basic stuff. So now what about the battery life? Well, slightly bigger battery capacity here on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, 5060 mAh compared with just 5000 here on the Ultra. Yeah, clearly bugger all difference. And the great news is, even if you're the most demanding user, your smartphone is essentially glued to your hand all day long, well, you should just about squeeze through even a very long, intensive day on a full charge. And that's with a good bit of camera action, good bit of video chatting, all the stuff that tends to drain the battery pretty fast. I did conduct a side-by-side battery drain test as well for anyone who likes all of that kind of shenanigans. And impressively, the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S24 Ultra both drained at pretty much an identical rate throughout. We're talking almost 17 hours of non-stop video action on a single full charge. Of course, if you do need to power them up again in a jiffy, well, neither are particularly fast at recharging. You got 37 watt wired charging on the Pixel versus 45 watt charging on the S24 Ultra. So they're absolutely trounced by rivals from Xiaomi, Realme, etc. So personally, I do tend to charge them up overnight. You've got wireless charging support on both, so you can just bung them on a pad and leave them there. And you've got adaptive charging as well. So if you set an alarm in the morning, they will just trickle charge up to the point where they're just hitting 100% before you get up. And that wireless charging is actually slightly faster on the Pixel, 23 watts versus 15 watt on Sammy's blower. So let's finish this lovely wee comparison of two massive, pricey smartphones with a squint at the camera tech. Loads of lenses, loads of features, so let's crack on. Now here on the Pixel, the primary shooter is a 50 megapixel octopede sensor, whereas on the S24 Ultra you've got a 200 meg main sensor. You can actually shoot at the maximum 200 megapixel resolution if you want. But by default, both of these shooters capture images at 12 megapixel. I recommend leaving it at that because you get a good bit of pixel binning, helps out in slightly dodgier lighting. And both the S24 Ultra and that Pixel 9 Pro XL are great for simple point and shoot type shenanigans. The S24 Ultra still boosts those tones even with the scene optimizer tool knocked off, so you do tend to get warmer looking photos overall, which plenty of people will likely prefer. But both phones can handle awkward contrast formidably with their HDR prowess, while Samsung tends to slightly brighten up scenes, especially those shot indoors. With the Pixel, once again, you get a more natural vibe, which I usually prefer. But by brightening that image, the S24 Ultra does sometimes pump out better looking night shots. And you can certainly get a good looking portrait pic with either of these blowers. And both of these phones can capture RAW format images as well if you want to edit on the fly, but only the Galaxy S24 Ultra has a proper dedicated Pro mode. It's got the usual selection of settings to play around with, including the ISO levels, the shutter speed, the EV, the white balance. You can get a very specific kind of shot, whereas Google's certainly aiming for a much more simple point and shoot style experience. As for the ultra wide angle shooters, well, here on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it's a 48 megapixel snapper compared with the more basic 12 megapixel here on the S24 Ultra. But both of them feature a good bit of autofocus for your macro type shenanigans. And the Pixel 9 Pro XL is certainly superior when it comes to HDR shooting with that ultra wide, although color capture is a lot more similar compared with what you see from those primary shooters. You've got a good bit of zoom action on both as well. You've got a 48 megapixel quad PD telephoto shooter with 5 times optical zoom here on the Pixel. Whereas on the S24 Ultra, you've actually got a dual zoom system. So you've got yourself a 10 megapixel telephoto lens with 3 times optical zoom, plus a 50 meg effort that boosts it up to 5 times optical zoom. The S24 Ultra can actually zoom in further, up to 100 times in total versus just 30 times on the Pixel. However, at that 30 times zoom level, the Pixel often produces better looking shots. Google's AI sharpening skills means you get more detail packed in rather than the smudgy, smoothed out textures you often get with the Galaxy. And when it comes to bonus camera modes, where you've got a generous helping on both, of course, the obligatory portrait shenanigans, which works really well on both of these phones. The likes of course, good old night sight. You've also got a night mode here on the S24 Ultra, and both of those can automatically activate when it is low light. And for this generation, Google has stuffed in the extra Add Me feature, which is pretty cool. And this allows you to add yourself into a group shot after it's already been taken, using a bit of AI wizardry. As for your video type shenanigans, where you can shoot Ultra HD 4K footage at up to 60 frames per second on both blows, you've also got native 8K shooting here on the S24 Ultra, whereas here on the Pixel, you can only produce 8K video using Video Boost, but actually has to upload that video to the cloud and then boost it to 8K resolution using, again, AI shindiggery. But both of these phones pretty capable when it comes to low light shooting, helped along by the Video Boost shenanigans. Got a cracking bit of stabilization if you want to shoot and move at the same time, and the audio pickup nice and crystal clear on both as well. Neither are perturbed by strong winds particularly. You've actually got better editing tools here on the Pixel, including some excellent audio eraser smarts, which can help to clean up any background clamour and general cackness. And when it comes to those selfie shooters, well, it's a 42 meg front-facing snapper here on the Pixel versus a more basic 12 meg shooter on the Samsung. The Pixel definitely the better if you want to fit lots of faces into that frame for a proper group shot or a groupie. Oh, let's definitely not resurrect that one. And if you prop up your phone like so, you can actually just flash a palm in order to take a shot on both of these blows, which is pretty handy. And the Pixel certainly impresses more when you're shooting against testingly bright backgrounds, while the S24 Ultra once again tweaks those tones to warm them up a bit. And with both the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, you can shoot up to 4K Ultra HD footage using that selfie cam at up to 60 frames per second. Again, the audio pickup is fantastic, as you'd expect from these flagships. So both pretty good for your bit of video chatting, your bit of vlogging, whatever you fancy getting up to. Although I definitely preferred the visuals here on the Pixel, especially as it made me look like I had actual skin tone rather than the kind of pallid, flaccid affair that I appear to be here on the Galaxy. And there you have it, kiddies. That is my full side-by-side comparison of the Pixel 9 Pro XL versus Samsung's Galaxy S24 Ultra. So, if you've got over $1,000 to spunk on your next blower, which one should you get? Well, it all depends on your priorities, really. I gotta say, I would be torn between the two. I do prefer the stock pixely Android-y shenanigans here on Google's blower versus the One UI here on Samsung. And overall, I've got to say, I do prefer the camera experience here on the Pixel as well. But on the flip side, the gaming performance is definitely better here on the S24 Ultra. You've got that nifty S Pen, doing a bit of document editing, scribbling, sketching, whatever on the fly. So you can see quite a lot of different factors at play here. So it'd be great to hear your thoughts on which is best for you, the Pixel 9 Pro XL or the S24 Ultra, down in the comments below. And certainly if you've been using Sammy's Byyyeeeee as your full-time smartphone, let us know what you're thinking so far down there too. In the meantime, stay tuned for plenty more Pixel goodness. My full review of this bad boy going live at the same time basically as this comparison. Stay tuned for full tips and tricks. I've got the Pixel 9, the Pixel 9 Pro, so full reviews of those and an in-depth comparison between the three. And if there's anything else in particular you want to see, well, definitely let your Uncle Spurt know in those comments as well. In the meantime, podcast subscribe, ding the notifications bell, usual YouTube and just have yourselves a bloody wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you!